everybody, it is Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome. Welcome back to another episode of Stats, Trends, and Picks over here on That's Comical. And if you're watching and it happens to be a Wednesday, happy new comic book day. Well, guys, I'm coming to you on the first day of April 2025, but no, you will not be getting any April Fool's shenanigans today. What you will be getting from me is discussions of what's been going on with comic books, how did March go, wrapping up the first quarter of 2025, and what am I looking forward to in the upcoming months. One of the few things that I am looking forward to, as I am supposing you all are, is Free Comic Book Day 2025, the first Saturday in May. So excited to get over to my local comic book store and get some free comic books. But don't forget to also, when you pick up your free books, to give your local comic book store some love and a little bit of business. I am hoping to do so and find some books that I would like to add to my collection, so I don't just walk out of there with free books. Some other little bit of good news, and no, this is not an April Fool's joke. It's the fact that Diamond Distributors seems to have found a buyer. So that means that things might be getting back to normal in terms of how our comic books are getting to our local stores. Not even sure if the Diamond name is going to be associated with comics distribution moving forward. But what I am very happy to see is the fact that a lot of publishers managed to get out while they could to make sure that their books still got to their fans on time. And unfortunately, a lot of the ones that didn't get to me on time were part of the other conglomerate. As we take a look at the numbers right here, at one point in time, I thought I was going to be getting 70 books in the month of March, and in the end, only 58. And that was just due to some major rescheduling. We had 21 books from DC Comics, 20 books from Image, 6 from Marvel, which is definitely a new low. I can't remember the last time that Marvel was that low for me, and 11 for the other conglomerate, which is definitely staying constant. But another thing that I am definitely trying to do at this point is trim the fat. I mean, look, one of the few things that I will not deny is the fact that last year was a great year for comic books because there were so many new things that came out and so many new things that I was excited to read. But, look, reality is setting in, and I felt it was time to look at and assess the situation and pull back a little bit. And I'm definitely trying to be very smart and really trying to get back to quality over quantity. Not to say that a lot of what I read in 2024 was not quality. It was great. But we're in the midst of some major things going on, especially when it comes to the big two. We have the Ultimate Universe going on over at Marvel, and of course the All-In Initiative with the brand new Absolute Universe of DC. And one of the few things I'm definitely thinking about is I may not continue to read the Absolute books past the first story arcs. I've already dumped Absolute Batman because it just didn't end up being as good as I wanted it to be. I'm definitely going to stop reading Absolute Wonder Woman after issue number 7. I may still stay with Absolute Superman because I've been enjoying that one the most out of those first 3. And of course, I started reading the Absolute Flash, the Absolute Martian Manhunter, and this week is actually going to be the release of Absolute Green Lantern. My overall goal is to at least get the first story arcs out of the way, and if I do like them, I'll keep reading, but I'm also anticipating this universe to crossover with the All-In Initiative in the main DC universe and get some really good stories going. But another big surprise was that there is a big summer event coming from DC, and it's starting with a World's Finest and Justice League Unlimited crossover called We Are Yesterday. So I'm looking forward to reading that 6-issue series and seeing what's going to happen. But what is also going to be happening is I'm going to stop reading World's Finest after issue 39. I never thought that I would see the day. I really thought that I was going to carry on with this one till the very end, but I feel that Mark Waid has fizzled out a little bit. The last 2 story arcs were subpar, and it's going to be sad to say goodbye to this book, so I'm really hoping that We Are Yesterday ends on a great note, and I'm going to at least be satisfied with the 39 issues that I read from this title. When it comes to Marvel, I think I may have read one of the worst comic books, if not the worst comic book I've read in a long time, and that was Wolverine's Revenge by Jonathan Hickman with artwork by Greg Capullo of all people. I was shocked to be so disappointed by this, and I don't really know how to think about Jonathan Hickman right now. I mean, yes, Ultimate Spider-Man is still great. I am definitely enjoying the 3rd arc, and I have a feeling I may continue reading it, but he's going to be giving us something in the summer, along with another book that's coming out on the exact same week in the month of June. There's going to be a 4-part series called Imperial by Jonathan Hickman that's going to reshape the Marvel cosmic universe. He tried to do that with Gods, and that was not the greatest thing I ever read. It was intriguing, but it could have been better. But there's also a Christopher Priest, Joe Quesada project that's finally coming to fruition with Marvel Knights: The World to Come. I'm excited more for that than I am for anything Jonathan Hickman is giving me these days. With the Ultimate Universe, I don't know where I'm going to stand with that. There's apparently an event coming this summer. I'm going to check it out, but there's either going to be 1, possibly 2 Ultimate titles sticking with me, because I am not enjoying Ultimate Wolverine. There, I said it, I'm halfway in and I don't really care for it. So it's either going to be just Ultimate Spider-Man, or the Ultimates, or possibly both. I don't know. But not too thrilled with what Marvel has been doing. And another interesting thing that happened to me is I'm also not satisfied with the Spawn universe. I dumped Gunslinger Spawn, trying to get back onto that train, just didn't care for it, and the Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn. So I'm really trying to find where are my great stories, and if I'm really not digging a story, I'm just not going to continue reading it. So let's take a look at the percentages. 36% went to DC, almost 19% to the other conglomerate, almost 35% to Image, and 10% to Marvel. Let's look at the chart, guys. Again, the other conglomerate had issues with some of its books getting to us in time, which is why it dropped a little bit, but I don't foresee that happening again. I think that that number is going to keep going up because there's so many great indie books coming out, but Marvel, I think it's going to keep where it is, and I have a feeling that by 2026, I'm either going to be reading at most 5 Marvel titles, at least 0. Yeah, you heard it, guys. I may be done with Marvel entirely until they really step up their game. But enough of the doom and gloom. How did we do in March of 2025? Well, out of the 4 weeks, I only got 1 right, but the most important thing is, were the reads that I thought were going to be my top picks still good? And if there's anything that I'm going to say, the answer is yes. For the first week of March 2025, I knew it was going to go back to Image Comics and the Ghost Machine universe, Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis's Hyde Street #4. I still cannot get over how much I love this book because I am not a horror fan. And alongside Ice Cream Man, this is the strongest horror book that I am reading right now. This issue was so much fun. It just keeps me on the edge of my seat. I cannot wait for issue #5 this month. For the second week of March, I thought it was going to go to the last of the Violator miniseries, issue #6 over at Image Comics. This was probably, outside of Spawn Kills Every Spawn, which wrapped up last year, this was one of the better Spawn titles outside of the main Spawn title, and at this point, I'm just trying to get all the way to 400. It's a slog, but I'm really trying to see if I can get to issue 400, just because I'll be very impressed with myself. But this was one of the stronger Spawn Universe miniseries. I really enjoyed it. We've also got Medieval Spawn coming very soon. It's only going to be 4 issues, so no sweat off my back. But it was so cool to watch Violator's beginnings and see his trip through time. Had a feeling it was going to end up right where it did in the modern day. Really enjoyed that, seeing the classic clown character. And I just enjoyed this book a lot. I'm definitely going to say, check this one out if you're a Spawn fan and you want something fun to read. This was really good. But the top pick of the week went to Dynamite Comics, David Pepos' Space Ghost issue #11. I don't know if issue #12 is going to be the last issue of this run. I hope to God it's not, because this is still one of the best books on the market, and Dynamite is one of my favorite companies right now. Just read the new Thundercats title, Thundercats Lost issue #1, very good. Read Silverhawks #2, absolutely loved it. I don't even know if Powerpuff Girls is going to conclude with issue #9, but I loved that too. This company is just awesome, and this book was awesome. I cannot wait to see what issue #12 brings us to conclude the second story arc of the series. for the third week of March, I thought it was going to go over to Boom Studios and Dave Panosian's new take on classic literature characters, The Last Boy, issue number 1. This almost became my number 1. This was such a good read. I love this take on Peter Pan. It's only making me crave a third installment of Alice Ever After, which has to happen, Mr. Panosian. It has to happen. But oh my God, a book came out this week that I was anticipating, and it finally got here. I just didn't think it was going to be my top pick of the week. It was the DC Black Label book, long-awaited, Mark Waid and Brian Hitch, Superman, The Last Days of Lex Luthor, issue number 2. Good things come to those who wait, everybody. What a book! This was phenomenally good. Not to mention Brian Hitch's amazing artwork on this book. I loved the first issue. I did not, after all these months of waiting, expect this book to be as good as it was, and I cannot wait for this story to conclude with issue number 3, which is coming out next month. I sincerely hope it sticks that way. I'm so excited to read issue number 3. And for the last week of March, I thought that it was going to go to Patrick Horvath's one-shot over at Ani Press, Free for All. What was very interesting about the end of March was this week another book came out, and it was Garth Ennis's Ninth Circle book, The Kids. I left this last week of March 2025 disturbed, thanks to that book and Free for All. I thought the idea was very creative and interesting, but the message that the idea revolved around was not my cup of tea because of where I fall socially and politically. But I am still going to say to Patrick Horvath, bravo for a book that left an impression on me, and definitely am going to say that if you really want to read something creative and out there, and it's not Beneath the Trees, or if you have read Beneath the Trees way too much, and you want to read something new from him, check out Free for All, guys. I don't know what your attitude will be in terms of the messaging and the premise, but this book was definitely a standout of the week. But it wasn't my top pick. As a matter of fact, my top pick went to Image Comics and Feral number 11, the start of Arc 3 by Fleeks, Forstner, and Rodriguez. Oh man, this book is just killing it. I mean, I still cannot get over that this book is an ongoing series, but I am so impressed with the fact that they really are doing their best at their game to give us an ongoing series about cats in a zombie apocalypse. This is such a great book. The characters are so lovable, and where this book left off, cannot wait for the rest of this arc. This book is going to continue to be extremely strong, at least in my eyes, and at least I hope that's the way it stays. So how are we looking for April of 2025, everybody? It's a 5-week new comic book month, so that's exciting for me. A lot of money will be spent, but in good reason, and I'm really hoping that I enjoy all of the reads that I get. And let's take a look at my top picks. So, for the first week of April of 2025, even though we've got a brand new absolute title coming out, and we do have a couple of other books that I'm really looking forward to, including a brand new title from Ram V over at DC Comics, Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, a 6-issue miniseries, as well as the final issue of the first arc of Hornsby and Halo over at Image Comics. I am expecting a great read there. I think I'm going to give it to the final issue of Absolute Superman's first story arc over at DC Comics, and that is issue number 6 from Jason Aaron. This Absolute book has been very impressive, and I've really been enjoying this story, and I'm really curious to see how the first arc is going to wrap up. I think it's also going to be connected to issue number 7. Issue number 8 is actually the start of arc number 2, so this is going to be a pivotal moment for me in particular. Am I going to continue reading Absolute Superman after issue number 7? And will issue number 6 really leave me with that wow factor that I really crave in my comic books? For the second week of April 2025, wow, Dynamite Comics, oh how you have pulled one out of the hat. I never thought I would want to read a comic book based on Hanna-Barbera's late 1960s, early 1970s classic, Wacky Races. I don't know how this is going to be incorporated into a comic book, but Dynamite has been doing very well on the nostalgic factor, guys. And that's also a very interesting week because we have a brand new Miller World title coming out called Vatican City. And we even have the return of a Jeff Lemire book that I do enjoy reading very much, the third story arc of Phantom Road with issue number 11 over at Image Comics. It's coming out that week, but I really want to give it to Wacky Races by Ivan Cohen. I don't know what it is about this book, but just seeing Dastardly and Muttley and Penelope Pitstop on the cover just makes me so excited to read this book. For the third week of April of 2025, you know, it's going to be another really strong week. The end of the second story arc of Space Ghost and G.I. Joe. We even have a Summer of Superman special coming out. But I think I'm going to keep my hopes up and I'm going to give it to DC Comics and Mark Waid's Batman Superman, World's Finest, We Are Yesterday, Part 1. Because I'd like to see how this story now officially gets into the All-In initiative, because it wasn't before. And I'd like to see how it ties in the 6-part story arc with Justice League Unlimited and what it means for the summer of 2025 with the All-In initiative over at DC. For the fourth week of April 2025, we've got a lot of good stuff coming out, everybody. Some stuff that I'm really looking forward to. We've got the starts of the new arcs of Hornsby and Halo and Minor Arcana. So excited for that. We've got the last issue of Superman, The Last Days of Lex Luthor. We've even got David Pepos giving us Captain Planet as a comic book. I cannot wait for that, guys. So excited to see that. Even The Last Boy #2 is coming out that week, but I am going to be giving it to Dynamite Comics again because Joe Casey is bringing Johnny Quest back to the comic books after the first story arc of his book, Alone, and he's teaming up with Space Ghost. So we're going to get a Space Ghost Johnny Quest crossover. 4 issues, Space Quest. So excited to see where this book goes. Johnny Quest being one of my favorite shows. Loving the first story arc of the comic book. Hoping there will be more. Just excited to see how it's going to get combined with Space Ghost. I'm just expecting a really, really, really fun ride. And for the final week of April of 2025, we're going to be getting a book that there are some very interesting things coming out that week, but this is the only week of the month that I am absolutely certain on what my number 1 is going to be. It's long anticipated. It might get pushed. I really hope that that's not the case, but it's going to go over to IDW and the final installment of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin 2, Re-Evolution. Every single time one of the issues of this book came out, I completely forgot how great the story was. And I'm really curious to see how this book is going to end, and I'm also even more curious to know if there's going to be a continuation of this story moving forward. So that is going to wrap up my stats, trends, and picks for the month of April of 2025. Let me know how your March went. Let me know if there was anything that I may have missed. And what are you looking forward to in April of 2025? And anyway, guys, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.